Hello and welcome to the second segment of part two of our mini series entitled There's an App for This. Today we're talking about the emotion of anxiety. In our previous clip, we were defining anxiety. Sorry for that abrupt ending. We continue to define anxiety as anxiety is often accompanied by muscle tension, restlessness, fatigue, and problems in concentration. Anxiety can be appropriate, but when experienced regularly, the individual may suffer from an anxiety disorder. So it's normal to feel anxiety sometimes. But for persons who fear anxiety all of the time, then they would probably be diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. People facing anxiety may withdraw from situations which have provoked anxiety in the past. So we may avoid certain people, certain places, certain experiences that brought us anxiety or some type of other negative emotion in the past. We might avoid those people and those things. There are various types of anxiety. There's existential anxiety, which can occur when a person faces an existential crisis or feelings. People can also face mathematical anxiety, somatic anxiety, stage fright, or even test fright. Some people experience severe anxiety when they have to take a test of any type. There's also social anxiety and stranger anxiety, which are caused when people are apprehensive around strangers or other people in general. Anxiety has been linked with physical symptoms such as IBS and can heighten other mental health illnesses such as OCD and panic disorder. The first step in the management of a person with anxiety symptoms is, number one, to evaluate the possible presence of an underlying medical cause. So, if you're feeling anxious more than what is normal or regular for you, then it might be helpful to consult with a healthcare professional who then can determine whether there is some type of medical cause causing this anxiety. And then they can begin to factor out, if it's not that, then it could possibly be this. And a healthcare professional could get to the bottom of what is causing this anxiety and then give information regarding how you might deal with, manage, or totally eradicate your case of anxiety. Let's continue now today in our lesson. We talked about there's an app for this. Let me give you a story from the Bible, a story that deals with anxiety. Let me read a passage of scripture from 1 Samuel chapter 28 verses 1 through 19, and I'll read it quickly. About that time, the Philistines mustered their armies for another war with Israel. King Achish told David, "You and your men will be expected to join me in battle." "Very well," David agreed. "Now you will see for yourself what we can do." Then the king told David, "I will make you my personal bodyguard for life." Meanwhile, the prophet Samuel had died, and all Israel had mourned for him. He was buried in Ramah, his hometown. And Saul the king had banned from the land of Israel all mediums and those who consult the spirits of the dead. The Philistines set up their camp at Shunem, and Saul gathered all the army of Israel and camped at Gilboa. When Saul saw the vast Philistine army, he became frantic with fear. Saul asked the Lord what he should do, but the Lord refused to answer Saul. either by dreams or by sacred lots or by the prophets. Saul then said to his advisors, "Find me a woman who is a medium," in other words, a witch, "so I can go and ask her what to do." His advisors replied, "There's a witch or medium at Endor." So Saul disguised himself by wearing ordinary clothing instead of his royal robes. Then he went to the woman's home at night, accompanied by 2 of his men. "I have to talk to a man who has died," he said. "Will you call up his spirit for me?" "Are you trying to get me killed?" the woman demanded. "You know that King Saul has outlawed all the witches and mediums and all who consult the spirits of the dead. Why are you setting a trap for me?" But Saul took an oath. He swore in the name of the Lord and promised, "As surely as the Lord lives, nothing bad will happen to you for doing what I ask you to do." Finally, the woman said, "Well, whose spirit do you want me to call up?" "Call up Samuel," Saul replied. When the woman called up Samuel and saw him, she screamed, "You've deceived me. You're King Saul." "Don't be afraid," the king told her. "Just tell me what you see." "I see a God coming up out of the earth," she said. "What does he look like?" Saul asked. "He's an old man wrapped in a robe," she replied. Saul realized it was the prophet Samuel, and he fell to the ground before him. "Why have you disturbed me by calling me back?" Samuel asked Saul. "Because I am in deep trouble," Saul replied. "The Philistines are at war with me, and God has left me and won't reply by prophets or dreams. So I have called for you to tell me what to do." But Samuel replied, "Why ask me, since the Lord has left you and has become your enemy? The Lord has done just as God said he would do. God has torn the kingdom from you and given it to your rival, David." Stay tuned. We'll come back with an explanation of that story, and we're going to talk about the anxiety factor in that story. Be right back.